Hi, everybody. Welcome to Awakening the Divine Masculine Within Retreat. And I have a wonderful guest for you today. His name is Tim Wild. Tim is an author, a speaker. He is a former Atlantean priest, and he has many workshops on offer for us on his website. Tim's talking to us today about men's roles at this time and where you fit in with this spiritual arc. Anyway, Tim, how are you?
I'm really, really well, thanks, Georgie, and I'm very honoured that you've invited me on to this. Thank you, thank you.
Oh,
it's a hot potato of a subject, isn't it?
It is, and it's been quite, interesting, hasn't it? How women have, forged ahead with all this stuff, especially over the last 2 years.
Yeah.
And their partners and some of their, maybe their kids or partners, the male ones, have felt a little bit sort of pushed into the sidelines,
Yeah.
So
it's funny because it's something that I've been witnessing for years and years. It always seems to have been that it is the divine feminine, or the ladies that are drawn to this aspect of the spiritual pathway. And you see that in evidence in the workshops, the live events, before we all kind of went online and everything. It would always be predominantly women, and maybe the odd geezer who'd been dragged along sort of thing by his wife. He'd be sitting there kind of thing, like all timid to start off with. And then over the course of the day, you can see this man coming out of his shell and actually joining in and stuff. So it has been a field that has been dominated by that divine feminine energy for a long time, hasn't it?
Yeah, would you say that that's because the women create and sort of are a few steps ahead of the guys, and now they're sort of being called to, step up or join in rather than step up? There's no stepping up to do.
Yeah.
And I think the other thing that we were talking about previously before we went live was that a lot of men have felt very kind of, I think persecuted is quite a strong word, but they could have felt quite persecuted by the whole female uprising and being blamed for everything, and it's all their fault and all of that. But actually the patriarchal system has caused the whole thing for all of us. It's not just the women, it's the men as well, isn't it?
Absolutely. The everything that we're witnessing is based on energy. Okay, so our entire ascension process, I mean, I'm gonna wind back 10,000 years now. Okay, we're gonna go right back to the dark old days of the fall of Atlantis, which happened 10,000 years ago, or roughly 10,000 years ago. So when Atlantis sank, we were plunged into what we know in the trade as the third dimension, lower 3D, where we experience this incredible kind of reincarnation cycle where we return to this planet again and again to learn the lessons and experience what I kind of describe as the life in physical, but at the bottom of the barrel, learning the toughest lessons on the toughest learning plane in the universe, which is planet Earth. So the fall of Atlantis, the energy was predominantly masculine, but without the divine on it. So we've lived in this masculine dominated sphere of reality for 10,000 years, and incarnating on Earth, regardless of what gender you are, has been very, very difficult, but more so for women. So it doesn't matter what country you incarnated in, whether it was Europe, whether it was Africa, whether it's South America, there would always be this kind of tier system where the men are on top, and in some cases women are very much subjugated or unable to speak or persecuted for stepping up. And this has been going on for thousands of years. So if you look at it energetically, that has been the setup. And all of a sudden, on the 21st of December 2012, which was allocated as the cosmic moment when everything changed on the planet, all of a sudden you've got our reality changing from what we call 3D into 4D, the transitional window, which is 20 years long. We're exactly halfway through it. And in order to create that shift, that change, there was a saturation of divine feminine energy, which just poured into the planet, literally poured into the planet. Now, this has created a lot of the balancing, the kind of like the resetting of the scales that's going on at the moment, but it's also caused a huge amount of turmoil. There's been an incredible amount of soul wake-ups that have occurred in the last decade. And amongst them is a vast quantity of women who are already maybe spiritually awake or much more connected to their hearts and ready to step onto the pathway. And it's all everything's done by divine agreement, by soul agreement. This is the way that I see things. So although we are witnessing at the moment, you know, we're saying, come on, guys, catch up kind of thing. Where are the men? They will step up. Okay. But the way that I've always seen this is that the reason why divine feminine souls, women, I find it easier to integrate into the spiritual pathways because they haven't got that chasm between the ego and the heart that is as large for them as it is for men. Okay, the traversing of this huge gap, you know, to get from ego to heart is much, much wider for men to navigate than it is for women. Women are automatically there. They're portals. You know, a woman brings a soul through the gateway into reality and are already very much more connected to the heart, to that kind of divine source of light. Whereas men have had this very set role for the last 10,000 years. And all of this has had to be resorted. It's needed healing. And at the moment that healing is taking place. It's a little bit like, you know, when 2012, the cosmic moment began, it's like our planet was like a bowl of spaghetti, all mixed in with each other, all of these different energies, all of this karma, all of this nonsense that's been going on for 10,000 years. And one by one, we're straightening these pieces of spaghetti out so they run linearly. And we've done a lot of the sorting now. There's a lot of lines of spaghetti that are straight, but there's still more to go. And at the moment, where we are presently is the rise, I feel and believe very strongly, of the divine masculine. You know, hence the energy that is coming in and your guidance to run this beautiful event in the first place. Is we're now recognizing the role of masculinity in the spiritual pathway as essential to that balance, yin and yang, you know, the supporting roles of both men and women in the future of our planet. You know, where are we going? What are we doing? What's 3D to 5D? What's 5D going to look like? What are we going to look like at the other end of it when men who are in their hearts and women are in their hearts are collectively running this planet rather than what we're witnessing or have been witnessing at the moment, which is the kind of the demolition of the 3D matrix and the structures and how everybody moves away from it. So we're just finding our place in the spectrum, aren't we? We're just finding out how to do it, what it actually means, what our roles are, and how to heal and how to progressively move on. And it's an interesting part. It's an interesting place to be.
It is. And, you know, I feel for the men, you know, they've been told to fight, be strong, not cry, not be emotional, all of that. And of course, so first of all, they've got to sort of take down those barriers firstly, and then allow themselves to be open. So that, like you said, there's a big gap. But I think they're getting there. I do see that in my sons, definitely. And I see it in my husband as well, although he's got a real strong kind of stubborn streak, which means he steps on and does a bit of a course or integrates with some friends when we're doing spiritual stuff, and then he just backs right off and runs away and carries on doing the stuff, you know. But we we talked about this before. You actually said that some of the men are not necessarily light worker men. Yeah. So the ones that are star seeds, angelics, elementals are not necessarily going to be doing spiritual jobs. So
No.
can you kind of expand a bit on that, Tim?
I can, and this is something which I think is very important for all of us to identify, is that we assume that spirituality comes in a box, packages. Me personally, and this is me personally, I love my crystals, I love my unicorns, my angels, my workshops. I'm down for it all day, every day. That's my life, and it's been my life for years and years and years. That's the way I do things. But the guys that are stepping up now, that are beginning to flower, they've made their way across that chasm from the hold of the ego, and the hold of the ego is a powerful thing. So they're now beginning to think about what their role is, but not in the way that we might presume, okay, the way that we would like them to identify with it. So for the divine feminine souls, the ladies out there that have got men that are waking up, or might be showing tiny little glimmers and signs of them waking up, that you're not necessarily ever going to be able to drag that dude to a workshop where he's working with crystals and chanting and unicorns. That might not be his role. Okay, his role might be something completely different. It might just be to be that strength, that pillar, that anchor point, to provide that safe, nurturing space for you to function in whilst you do the work that you do. I mean, we still got to look at men and women in the roles that for which we've come into this planet for. So men will be identifying with their spiritual pathway, but they might not be doing it in a way that we can say that's spiritual. They will just be good men doing good things on a planet that is developing and changing very, very rapidly and going through the most awesome resetting of energies. And we need that strength. We need those anchors. We need those roles to be powerful, to have the element of leadership, to step up as teachers, and to provide strength and safety when it is necessary. I think those parts and aspects are very, very important.
Absolutely. And it's the physical side of it. So for me personally, we're building a retreat space here. And if Phil was sitting cross-legged and chanting, only if he was very drunk, probably.
Yeah.
But if he was, then we wouldn't get this work done here. We've got lots to do physically, lots of, machine work, and we do work together as well, but there's a lot for him to do here to get it right. He's helping to build a medicine wheel.
Nice.
We're doing a lot together to get this place running. And I know that when it's up and running, he will always be that backup support.
Absolutely.
Lighting the fires for the ceremonies, making sure everybody's got somewhere, comfortable to be, and all of those things. And it is important to establish those roles and to appreciate those roles in your life.
Yeah,
and whether or not you're running a retreat or doing anything spiritual, like you say, if those men are good men and they're in their hearts, then isn't that all we need?
That's absolutely, you've hit the nail on the head there, Georgie. That's exactly what we need. We need a planet full of people that are heart-centered. Okay, we don't need the pretense of what we believe that we should be. It's all about being heart-centered, in the heart, following our heart's guidance. And that can be any role that's been allocated that we've chosen to incarnate and embody as. So we've all got different roles. Some of them might be quite similar, but in other cases, there might be new roles that are coming in. And we need an infrastructure on this planet that is supportive of a way of life that we can move into. So, this shift from 3D to 5D, it has always been shown to me as being a smooth transition. But in order to move into a fifth dimensional heart-centered consciousness, we have to leave behind what no longer resonates at that higher frequency, the things that take from others, the things that imprison or entrap or create inequality or pain or war or any of these things. These are going to just simply disappear from our existence as more and more people step into heart-based consciousness, heart-centered consciousness. But we can't just demolish what we have and start again living in caves. We have to take what we've got, and we have to, if it does have to be left behind, then we have to rebuild it. But essentially what we do is we take the structures and the infrastructures and all of the things that we already have and simply make them work at a higher frequency. And in order to do that, we need people who will step into those roles, who already have the gifts, they already have the training, they already have the knowledge, and they're prepared to do that. That's what a lot of the younger generations are training for. You know, you see them come in and they're adopting these roles, and they're completely out of alignment with what the 3D matrix want them to do, but they're set on doing it. That's what they're going to do. And we're just seeing this restructure. So a lot of it is about acceptance. You know, we're having to accept what people are becoming, but also provide the framework of energy and guidance for them so that they step into the correct roles that is right for their spiritual growth, rather than what has been declared right for them by the kind of the 3D matrix. And it's definitely thrashing about a lot at the moment. There's a lot of opportunities for distraction, you know, misguidance. There's never been there's never been a greater quantity of information available at our fingertips than we have at the moment. And so again, this calls into the powerful gift of discernment that a lot of people are tuning into. And discernment is one of the gateways, it's one of the tests, the ascension pathways. If you haven't got it right, you will be whacked on it again and again and again until you get it right, kind of thing. So immediately that again calls for heart-centeredness. If you're not sure about something that's being presented to you, you take it through the heart. Forget what your head's telling you, you take it through your heart. And your heart will immediately tell you whether that is right or wrong. So you'll know your role by the way that you feel heart guided into it. And I think that's very important for the men that are tuning in. Follow your heart, okay? Follow your heart to the letter. You know, don't worry about what anybody else is telling you, this person, that person, this article, that all of this information that might be thrown at you at this point in your pathway. Follow your heart. Do what you feel is the right thing to do. That more than anything else is where we move through into the next phase of this process.
Absolutely. And I think, interestingly, where the stubbornness helps there is because it's being able to row your own boat down your own river alongside the others, but, you know, in your own way, rather than fulfilling expectations of other people and your partners. You know, you need to be yourselves, you need to be your own person. And as long as you're in your heart and in kindness, then, you know, and that kindness, you know, is about being kind to yourself as well as everybody else around you. And that's sometimes hard for men that are light worker men. It's very hard for them to love themselves.
Again, you're picking up the essential parts of this and just nailing it here, Georgie. The everything that we embark upon is decided by our quantity of self-love. Okay, so you can have all of the spiritual tools in the world. You could have done this, you could have done that, you could do this course, you do this self-cleansing, you go on this diet, you all of these little things that you can bring in and spend all of your time and all of your investments in whatever way to bring it to yourself. None of it will work unless you love yourself. And that includes manifestation of abundance. Everything, the key to this is self-love, as within, so without. If you can't love yourself, then what possible chance have you got of sending that heart-centered love to those around you, loving your planet, loving the people, loving the animals, loving the experience of life itself on Earth, which, you know, let's face it, if you turn around to most people at the moment, so you enjoying yourself? They're like, what? You know, like 6 planets in retrograde, this happening, that happening, you know, like what feels like a daily beasting with all of the initiations that we're going through. At the end of the day, my guidance has been very powerful this year, and it's been difficult for me to navigate. And I'll always be very honest about what I'm going through. I've had to change how I treat myself in work, in exercise, in diet, in my integrations and what I put into what I do, because I've been lacking self-love, seriously lacking self-love. It's all been about my output and my achievements and what I, how many goals I score on the energy pathway and how high my vibration is. And all of a sudden it's come down to like, right, this is about self-love. You got to learn the self-love, but if you don't love yourself, that dynamic only goes on for so long before you stop, and you have to go through some painful realignment or reassessment of energy. It's big. We've got a lot to deal with.
Yeah, it's at the core of it, isn't it, the self-love? And I think,
yeah,
I remember, it must have been kind of 10 years ago for me when I went through that process. And I was like, and I was doing this self-development course, and they said, tell yourself you love yourself in front of the mirror. And I was like, oh no,
yeah.
oh, that's horrible.
It's a
I
good
don't
one,
want to
isn't
do
it?
that.
Yeah.
And
Look
so,
yourself in the
yeah,
eyes, in the mirror, and repeat, I love you, I love you, I love you. Go, if you haven't done this, those of you tuning into this, do it. Look yourself, go and stand in front of a mirror, preferably a full length one, and look yourself in the eyes and go, I love you. And feel that exchange of energy, feel how your ego responds to it. Because I don't think a lot of us have assessed this, or if we have, we've done it a long time ago. It was uncomfortable and we've moved away from it into another aspect of spirituality that's a little bit more supportive of what we want to see, feel, and hear at that particular time. But a lot, and another thing, and many of you will probably already have realized this and being experienced and experiencing it this year, is the shadow work has come up. Okay, now the shadow work, again, is like we hear all the groans in the background. It's critical. We've got to dig in. We've got to recognize those aspects of ourselves that we aren't comfortable with, that don't fit the spiritual bill, that we might have done in the past, the things or the habits that we've still got that we let slip in our lives, and ultimately where they lead, what karma, what attachment they've got, what previous interaction maybe in a past life that created pain that's infused into the pain body. All of these things have to be accepted. So it's about, when the grind presents itself, when it sucks, you continue with it. The spiritual pathway isn't about flower, the flowery head in the clouds bit is long gone. At the moment, before the smooth comes, you have to deal with what's inside. I think this is something that men are actually becoming very good at. Okay, when when we finally decide to apply ourselves to something and work with it, then you get that focus, you get that divine masculine focus, and it becomes like, right, I'm going to do this, and I'm going to do it to the very best of my abilities. And so that energy comes through. So I'm loving watching it. I'm loving watching what's going on, watching all of these people wake up, coming in, what roles everybody's having, how they're dealing with it, how they're navigating it, but ultimately how we're all interacting with each other, and observing the uprise and the distinctions in behavior and interactions that are beginning to occur with people that weren't there previously. It's always a very good litmus test as to, even the conversations you hear people having in coffee shops, in shop queues and things like this. Everything's becoming elevated. And the funny thing is, most people don't even notice that it's happened. This whole planet's rising in frequency, and we're going through all of these changes. Okay, most people are focused on the news and all of the shabazz that's going on, 3D carnival and all of that kind of thing. But people who are interacting with each other and talking about their personal progress and the things that, that might have triggered them awake, a lot of them don't even know that they're doing it. And I find it really funny watching it occurring, because it's happening worldwide. everybody's in on it to some level.
It's just when you know, when you're talking to guys, ordinary guys, about energy, they start talking about energy, and it's like, whoa, we wouldn't have been having this conversation 5 years ago, you know, 2 years ago, maybe, but it really is something that we talk about now.
Changed. The dynamic has changed. The timeline has changed, and most people haven't even noticed. We're just doing things now at a higher level that we weren't previously. I remember I've told this story in workshops before, but I was sat in. This is when my son was younger. It was probably over 5 years ago, but it was a lovely sunny afternoon. I was sat in the local pub beer garden having a pint while my son was on the climbing frame, and I was just overhearing three dudes on a table behind me, all in football shirts, about 4 or 5 pints in. I mean, like it was just, they were on a Saturday session, and you know how you overhear conversations. Well, they're all talking about alien disclosure, and suddenly the penny dropped. You know, like these guys, and like they weren't talking about what they would normally be talking about, or what we'd assume they're talking about. They were talking about alien disclosure and Area 52, and maybe Mulder and Scully were right, sort of thing, and all of this kind of stuff. And so the conversation level and the consciousness level is elevated. People's understanding and perception has elevated, but because we're so used to looking for the bad, we're not noticing it unless we're noticing it. Do you see where I'm coming from?
Yeah, absolutely. It's sort of almost like it's like a flippant remark. Like Phil will come home sometimes from being on the building site with the men, and say, oh, so and so is talking about this, that, and the other. You know, that's quite sort of light workery and truthery in its nature. And then he'll just say it's a flippant remark, and then he'll carry on about how many bricks they laid today, and it's like, that's interesting. You're having those conversations while you're doing that kind of work.
Yeah, it's happening everywhere. Every building site in the country is probably having elevated conversations in between what we would consider a normal aspect of it. It's happening. It's happening. It's a wave of global or planetary movement that is unstoppable. You know, like there's a school of fear thought that believes that this ascension process can be stopped, or it can be harmed, or it can be assassinated or hijacked in some way. And you know, regarding, you know, with what happened at the fall of Atlantis, these fears are real. You know, we could easily have gone down that route again, but the fundamental part of this shift is it has been pre-agreed. And it's not just a planetary thing. It's not just some random happening. The entire might of the universe is backing this shift. Gaia, the Earth Angel, is moving from 3D to 5D. That's not something that can be stopped by a group of people that would like to keep the 3D matrix as it is. I mean, it's a little bit like standing at the shore of the sea and shouting at the ocean, oh, don't come in tide, sort of thing. It's a movement of energy that is unstoppable. And we are all part of that wave. We've just got to recognize our roles in that wave and begin to step into the... It all sounds very pre-allocated, but it is. We're here by design. We're here by soul agreement. And the people that are waking up as they wake up now, or when they woke up, say, a year ago, 2 years ago, that's when they're supposed to wake up. It's not some random happening. So although we are yearning for this infusion of divine masculine energy, it's happening. It's going to happen, and it'll happen when it's been agreed to, or when the energy setting is right for that role to step in. And I believe we're here now. I think this is the step. This is the stepping point where this energy begins to rise up very powerfully. And a lot of it is triggered by global events, you know, the things that are happening in the news and the triggers. So many people have been woken up in the last 2 years just by being shown this picture. Go, that's not right. You know, there's and because the veil of amnesia has come off the third eye, suddenly the penny drops and the wake up process starts. There's been a lot of anger, but a lot of that anger then turns into, right, what do I do with this situation? The planet's changing. How does my role stand in that shift? And so there's all these different levels and perceptions of understanding about what's going on, but they all lead to the same place. And we're getting there.
We certainly are. Yeah. And the one of the things that we have discussed before this interview is the honoring the physical differences
Yeah,
of both sexes, and the polarities of that. So, we are. So vibrationally, we could say that we're doing this to unify, and that's great. And but I think it's very important to honor the differences of the sexes,
yeah,
or honor our roles in a particular in the relationship. So understanding that together. And
yeah,
that's where the confusion has been, I think, has been women have, done everything, had kids, worked, done the house, done all the bookkeeping, done everything. And it's kind of left men feeling a little bit kind of, well, what am I meant to be doing now? Oh, I'll just go
yeah,
and have a pint with my mate because it's just easier to do that.
yeah,
Because she's gone into this control mode. So I'm
yeah.
just going to go and do that or go
It's
for a run.
a lot of what's happened. I mean, I've seen so much evidence of this over the years. There is. I mean, I don't dip into the activities of the what I call the 3D matrix any more than I absolutely have to. But the roles that we see in society that are currently breaking down have been preset by people who wish to control and keep the planet a certain way. So roles have been allocated that are conflicting with that particular, either masculinity or femininity. So it's almost like it's an inversion. Everything within the 3D matrix is inverted in order to have the opposite effect and basically disempower people or put people that don't need or don't need the shouldering of that particular power in positions where they've got the full weight of everything upon their shoulders and with no assistance whatsoever. So you've got men that have been really disempowered and taken out of society as kind of maybe the breadwinners, the protectors, the fathers, and this isn't a victim blame situation. It's just simply the way that it's worked out whilst we were infused and ingrained into society, into life in the 3D matrix. And now we're all unplugging from it. It's almost like the lights are coming on. It's like, right, okay, I've got to return back to what I am, what my essence is, what I've chosen to be in this world. And of course, there's a lot of confusion as people are exiting and moving back into their divine roles. But I think with this 3 years, this 3-year window that we've experienced since the beginning of 2020, we're coming towards the end of 2022 now. And all of the energy and the shifts and the changes that we've experienced has been good for us. Okay, there's a lot of us that have come out the other side of it, and we're feeling traumatized and we're feeling tired, and we're just done with the whole thing. But we've learned so much. We've woken up. The planet's waking up. Everybody's tuned into what we need to do to actually successfully not live in captivity, giving our energy and our finances and our goods away to structures that don't wish to use it for any good whatsoever. And we're now naturally gravitating back to a higher frequency society where everybody is functioning from the heart. And if we don't function from the heart, it's out of alignment. And we have to move back into the heart in order to make it work. Because ultimately, where we're heading to is a preset energy. It's called a gold print. It's the Atlantean community gold print, which was created in the 1,500 years of golden Atlantis, where they nailed life, basically. The balance between masculine and feminine was perfect. The balance between the land and the souls that lived on it was perfect. Balance between the animals and everything was at a heart-based frequency. So everything was recorded and almost set as the playbook of the fifth dimension. So we've already got this energy to move into, sort of a little bit like making a pair of boots 10,000 years ago. then you get the boots out of the cupboard now, put them on, and they fit perfectly, but you got to learn how to walk in them for a little while. So we know how to do it. We know how to live at a higher frequency. We know how to live within our hearts, but we've got to basically deprogram from living in this very, very intense learning zone for so long. And a lot of it is just releasing the trauma, releasing the shadows, releasing the aspects that we don't want to carry with us, so that we can stay in our hearts. Does that make sense?
Absolutely. And then giving ourselves permission to, each of us, and working as couples as well, if you're in a couple,
Yeah,
you know, finding our method, our recipe that works, and then integrating that within the community as well that you live in.
absolutely.
So it's just about, like you say, removing those programs, working through that stuff,
Yeah,
unraveling it all, and then going, right, okay, now where are we going? And it's baby steps, isn't it, at the end
baby
of the day?
steps. Yeah, baby steps that turn into big steps very quickly.
Yeah, absolutely. I love that.
Because once you've got yourself aligned with that 5D energy, once you're in harmony with the flow that's available, all of a sudden the support is there. You know, you might feel at the moment like you're unsupported, like that. There's nothing available around you that will step in and help you or guide you, because ultimately, once you step through that gateway, it's your process is on you.
Yeah.
Okay, once you've mastered your own body, your systems, and living on this planet and being in your heart, and you are true to yourself, and that you are loving yourself as much as possible, you've aligned yourself with an energy that is so vast and so supportive, everything around you falls into place. And this is higher manifestation at work, but in alignment with this huge shift. So, you know, sometimes stepping out of where you were previously, despite how uncomfortable it might have been, is the biggest and the scariest thing, because you think you're just going to step into a void with no support. But it's quite the opposite. The support is there in abundance. And so if you're listening to this at the moment and you are on the edge of the cliff, looking for the next phase, the next step, ultimately you got to throw yourself over. you got to spread your wings, close your eyes, and take that step, and just trust that once you are in that higher universal flow, once you are committed to stepping into your role, whatever that might be, the universe will gather around you and support you, and ultimately bring the people to you that you need around you, the soul family. That's a huge thing that's occurring at the moment, the reshuffling of who and what we've got around us. Because once we do activate that higher frequency, it's like a grenade in our relationships and our workspace, and how we've accepted life to be. And so many people experiencing the falling away of the old, and like, you know, oh God, I'm on my own at the moment. But once you've moved through that period of being alone, then that's when the higher relationships, the higher dynamics begin to step in, and things get very, very interesting.
It's interesting. I can kind of just see this tunnel. So it's not that light, it's a tunnel, but there's light at the end. Literally, there's light at the end of it, you know.
Massive light.
You've got to be prepared to walk down the tunnel to
Yeah,
the light.
you've got to go through that process at some point of being in your own space. Okay, one of the hardest, or one of the biggest tests that I went through, is being, all of a sudden, all of that support that I had around me, which was from the spiritual realms, just went silent one day. I call it going dark. It's when I'd kind of got to a point where, I was going to step into the next phase of my ascension process, but those that worked with me needed to see how I functioned without support before I could proceed, because everything had been spoon-fed to me previously. So all of a sudden they just left the room and left me on my own. I was like, right, what's he going to do now? After a bit of thrashing around and like, wow, I've been abandoned and all the rest of it, you know, it's like, okay, I've got to do this myself. And went into my own heart and started bringing the information through. That can be one of the most unnerving things to go through, Because when we step into the spiritual path, when we step onto the spiritual pathway, if we are tuned in, if we are receiving information, we become very used to it. It's like, oh, thank you for that. I'm going to function with this. I'm going to function with that. And then all of a sudden it gets to the point where it just stops. And you are then tested for your own ability to move forwards without that apparent support. So a lot of people go through this tunnel and it can take quite a while. It's a birthing process. It's a birthing process between kindergarten, spiritual school, and kind of the more advanced levels of it. And I think that's also where a lot of people are at the moment.
Yeah, I would say that that does resonate, and that's for men and women, isn't it? Both going through that situation.
Anybody who's signed up.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Here we are. We can't go back
Yeah.
now. We're too far along.
Yeah, we are.
I wouldn't want to go. I wouldn't want to go back anyway.
No, it's I think the term is blue pilling yourself back out of reality, isn't it? And there's no chance of doing that.
No chance of that. No, exactly. Now, one of the other things that we talked about was, because both of you and I had asthma.
We did.
Symptoms. And so that led us on to talking about clearing the pathways of speaking the truth.
Yeah.
You know, and these asthmatic symptoms are sometimes when we are going through that process of clearing. Can you explain a bit more about that?
If you look at where we were for 10,000 years, the chakras that are particularly involved with interacting with our reality, if they are kind of subjugated into doing something which is unnatural, like not speaking truth, not acting from the heart, not being with the right people, situations, relationships, kind of damage is stored up within them. So with the throat has been a massive clearance point for most people, because all of a sudden we're having to be who we are. Okay, so we're having to speak that truth to people when it is often very uncomfortable. So before, where being spiritual was kind of like something that maybe we engaged in on a Saturday and Sunday, we could all go to our room and we can have our spiritual huddle. Then back on Monday morning, we go back to the humdrum of being part of what we were, you know, what we are in everyday life. That dynamic has completely changed. Being a spiritual being, being a spiritual soul on earth at the moment is now a 24/7 operation. It's not just something you do on the weekend. So we've had to clear the barriers that we've had put in place ultimately within our chakra system to allow us to now navigate at this high level. So all of these things that you know that have needed clearing from the chakras beginning to come out, all the low frequency energy, and a lot of one of the biggest ones around the throat was the Atlantean collar. Now, the Atlantean collar was put in place at the fall of Atlantis to stop the Atlanteans who survived the fall from going on and using their powers elsewhere in the world. It's all part of the agreement as the world sank into 3D to experience what we've had for the last 10,000 years. Many souls were lost in the fall, but the ones that went on to recreate, say, Egypt or South America, had to do so having taken the drop in frequency. So not only have we got what we're clearing from this lifetime, we've got lifetime after lifetime of stuff that's stored within the chakras. Because of the rise in frequency on Earth, it's all coming out now. And a lot of this is manifesting as physical illness. Also, when you raise the frequency of light within the body and the fields, anything that's out of alignment with your current lifestyle becomes spotlighted and has to be changed. So the things that we eat, the things that we drink, the things that we engage with on a daily basis all have to reshift and be in alignment with the higher frequency, and the body will clear it physically until action is taken. So a lot of this stuff is coming out at the moment. A lot of the old world is no longer resonating with our bodies. The chemicals, the alcohol, the caffeine, the sugar, the diet, everything is all being detoxified as we step into this, and it's tough. We've had to make the shift.
It certainly is tough. It's it's a daily process, isn't it? It really is. And the thing to remember for everybody is that we're all going through it.
We are. You are not alone.
Exactly.
You're not alone. And particularly like for me, you know, I experience this before I teach it. Okay, so anything that I come out with, anything that I'm presenting online, anything that I'm doing on a Monday or a Friday, or content of a workshop, and this has really happened more so in the last 2 years than anything else. If I pick a subject that I'm going to work with or teach, I have to be very careful as to whether I want to actually teach now, because I will go through a process of experiencing exactly what I'm teaching if it's slightly out of my fields before I do so.
Wow.
So
That's
it all
hardcore.
happened. Yeah. So there's always a cleansing, there's always an alignment, there's always something to work through. And it eventually gets to the point where this is the daily flow. It's not a grind anymore, it's a flow, because after you've done it for a while, after you've worked for it, you quickly just, it becomes part of your daily routine. Okay, so it might feel like a grind at the moment, but if it becomes part of like something that you engage with, that you focus on, that you treat with reverence, then it is simply a stepping up. Okay.
Absolutely. Thanks for that, Tim. Thanks for that as well, for being so honest and open, because that's what we're here for. You know, we are human. We might be
human.
You know,
we got to love that human.
And that's another thing as well, isn't it? Being human, being really human. And that's where the men come in, because they keep the females grounded. You know, pull you back down when you're floating up in the stars.
That's right. Come down off the unicorn cloud. Got to do some grounded man stuff. You know, I mean, I use sport to keep me grounded. I've been kickboxing now since 2016. That's my grounding point. If I need to recenter and refocus, I do that. And it gets me, or I go running, or I've had to honor that aspect of, again, of my masculinity, that I do like that, you know, like nothing centers me more than getting in the boxing ring, or working with the pads, or doing that stuff. And you know, before, I've heard back in previous threads years ago, oh, you don't, you know, that's physical violence. Well, no, it's a sport. It's a connection between two people engaging in something that they love. You know, there's so many kind of preconceptions of what is the right thing to do, but you know what the right things to do by the energy with which you engage in it.
I totally agree.
Very important.
The same with the rugby, you know, because we're rugby fans.
Yeah.
And there was a period where I couldn't watch any rugby games because I couldn't cope with the clashing and the bashing and everything. And I was like, oh,
your head stamped on, sort of thing.
And actually, do you know what? They love it. And they all honor each other. They respect each other. They pat each other's backs afterwards. They have a hug. I've noticed this with men as well. There's no more of these formal handshakes going on. It's more of a big hug.
Big cuddle.
Same with the women.
Yeah.
You know, because women have that wounded masculine as well, where they perhaps just stick a quick kiss or something like that, but actually they're properly hugging now.
Yeah,
and really,
and it's heart to heart.
Heart to heart.
You know, when your heart is an inch away from somebody else's heart, and you are consciously using your heart as an engagement tool to be part of that field, it is so powerful. It really is.
It's lovely. It's so lovely. And also, I think for me, it's been learning to have men as friends as well over time, because being brought up in a convent, then going to agricultural college where I was judged out of 10, you know, when you walked into the dining room. There's this kind of almost like, not like, a little bit like that, you know, be wary. Be wary of the guys.
Masculine dominated kind of environment, isn't it, actually?
Hold your own against them, you know. Have your spear in your hand at the same time, just in case.
Just slip them out of the way, sort of thing.
So that I've had to disarm as well. And then regard other chaps as friends. You know, it's not all about the other stuff. No. Men and women, you know, the other stuff that they do. It's the friendships as well that are really important.
And there's some beautiful bonds that have formed now, like soul level bonds. Like this is where the magic lies, these soul level bonds that are kind of above the previous preconceptions. And I'm asked a lot, like, you know, what are these higher relationships going to look like? And it's like, well, at the moment we don't know, because we're still sorting out what and who we are and how we engage at a higher frequency. And as long as we are in truth and integrity within ourselves, that relationship can only grow. So as long as we're honoring the soul journey of ourselves and the other person, we're all here to support each other, but we're also, a lot of these interactions that might have come together years ago, you might be married to somebody and you've woken up together, or if you've woken up before them and you feel like you're dragging them along a little bit, or you've had a lot of opposition. This is all for growth. This is all for the reassessment of your energy and where it goes at the end of it. As long as you navigate these situations remaining heart-centered, regardless of how difficult or challenging anything outside of that sphere of reality is, you will move through these gateways, and what is on the other end of it will ultimately be so much more rewarding than anything that you've ever encountered previously. It's and I'm seeing so much evidence of these interactions, these heart-to-heart situations now. It's beautiful to watch it occurring.
And with women as well, because women have been programmed. Well, it's interesting, I removed a program through a shamanic journey. There was this program that was causing, it was like a cube inserted into the solar plexus, and it was causing women in my life and myself to be competitive against each other.
Right.
A competition instead of raising one another up and celebrating each other's victories. So that, as far as I'm concerned, has been removed now. So, there's very much more of that sisterly love as well, soul sister love, not just with own sisters, but also with others, and the brother sister thing as well.
Yeah.
Soul sister, soul brother thing going on as well. So it's really lovely.
I know of that competition thing that it's been very much highlighted this year and last year as well. You've seen a lot of it in the spiritual community, where people are kind of like, claiming patches, and it's got very competitive. And that's a program that's been deliberately inserted into the way that we interact with each other. But again, it's more of the trappings of the 3D matrix, and you have to see it so you know how to remove it and get rid of it and work through it and move on. So
that's it.
Yeah.
So where you very kindly offered to do an activation.
Yeah,
for the chaps.
I'm feeling,
and the girls and the chaps and the girls, I should say.
Girls and the boys.
Girls and the boys.
I'm feeling, because of the nature and the flow of our conversation, that a heart-based activation would be highly appropriate, because everything's about the heart, Georgie. That's where we're going. It's from, you hear these conversations, let's go, let's leave the third dimension and sail off to 5D. Well, 5D it's not Butlins, it's not a holiday destination.
I hope it's not Butlins. I was thinking about
it'd be a crap.
I want the Bahamas if you don't
mind. Sort of thing, wouldn't it? But it's within us. Okay, we are the fifth dimension. Okay, so when we have got when the majority or the collective consciousness has shifted into 5D, and I think we're ahead of schedule. I actually do think we're ahead of schedule. I mean, the target date is 2032. And that information Diana Cooper brought through, saying by 2032, the beginnings of the golden age the foundations will be in place. I am seeing, and we're only halfway there at the moment. Yeah. It's the end of 2022 now. We've got another decade of shifts and resorting to go through, and you think how much progress we've made, particularly in the last 2 years or so. Heart-centeredness is where it's at, and if you get a unified field of heart consciousness, that just changes the timeline,
changes everything
that's involved. So
yeah,
I'm happy. Yeah, I'll happily take everybody into just an activation of the fifth dimensional heart center this morning. So what we'll do
to first, Tim, if that's okay, because I know they'll all be a bit sleepy maybe afterwards, is I'll just share some information with everybody. So Tim's very kindly given a free gift, the pain body meditation, which is just 13 minutes long. Tim, can you explain a little bit about the free gift?
Yeah, now the pain body meditation, it's not a new concept. It's something that's been brought through previously, but I've shown a very specific way of working with it. Now, in our current incarnation and the previous incarnations that we've had, we've built up almost like an alternative version of ourselves that contains all of those negative experiences, and that is called the pain body. Now, this is all part of the shadow work that we're going through at the moment, is to release that. Now, if we consciously go about the process of handing this over, acknowledging it, recognizing, loving it, and letting it go, then the whole thing becomes far more fluid. We don't necessarily have to engage in the experience that created the pain in the first place. We simply acknowledge it and let it go. And this particular meditation goes to the Temple of the Sea, which is one of the major temples of Atlantis that is attuned to the masters of Neptune, who work at a very high frequency, like the element of truth, cleansing, purity, clarity. So this visualization, I kind of set it to be done once a day for as long as you feel guided to do it for. So you kind of get told how many layers of the pain body are there for release. And then you go in there one a day if you feel like you do 10 a day if you're feeling enthusiastic, and just release, consciously release. Set the intention to let go of the things that bind you, hold you down, create these reactions to situations that are out of alignment with where you wish to be in your heart. We're at that point now where we can recognize this and just let it go. So that's what the meditation is about.
That's wonderful. Thank you, Tim. So that will be on this link below, and there'll be a little button for you to click if you'd like to access that meditation. Yeah. Thank you for that, Tim.
My pleasure.
Now, just also to say that for those of you that don't know Tim, he does do twice weekly ascension updates and also meditations on Facebook Live. And Tim, that's Tim Wilde Practical Ascension Facebook page.
It's Tim Wilde Practical Ascension, and my website is timwilde.com, and that's got everything that I've put onto YouTube and Facebook kind of accumulated onto it, and details of my events and everything like that. So
that's wonderful. Thank you, Tim.
My pleasure.
So I'll leave you to
thank you, Georgie. Right, I'm going to stop my video. So just see this, and that this is the Earth Merkaba, which has been placed around the planet at the Lion's Gate this year, which is a very, very high frequency energy to work with. And so just everybody who's listening and tuning in now, this is going to be a simple activation that works with your 12 chakra system. Now, the 12 chakras replaced the 7 chakras that many of us were accustomed to back in 2014. So if you're not familiar with the system, just use your imagination to tune into the colors and the parts of the body that I am directing you to, but ultimately just relax and just take a few deep breaths now. So this is a visualization that I've myself used for a long time now. It's become the bread and butter of all of the energy work and the personal work that I do. But it also particularly focuses on opening the vibration of the heart. So just allow yourself to completely and totally relax. Wherever you are in the world, you might want to lie down or sit in a chair. If you've got a crystal, grab a crystal, hold it over your heart center. But just focus on relaxing yourself, your bodies and your fields. Just hand yourself over to the higher frequencies that are now going to flow through you. So take a deep breath in. Take a deep breath in through your nose. And breathe out through your mouth. Feel your muscles, the cells of your body softening. Just relax your arms. Tension maybe within your jaw. your stomach, your hips and your legs. Just allow yourself to soften on that first breath. Keep breathing in. Breathe in through your nose. Out through your mouth. And then just do this a third time. In through your nose. And out through your mouth. And just become aware now of yourself. Not just as a physical being, but as a spiritual and multidimensional being. Physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual. So these four bodies of yours, you have your physical body anchored in reality here. Draw the mental, the emotional, and the spiritual fields to you now. So some of you might feel that your spiritual energy or your emotional energy is elsewhere, invested in other things. Bring it back to you at this point in time. This is a process called taking command of your fields. Just breathe them back to you gently. In through your nose and out through your mouth. And just gently feel your spiritual, your emotional, and your mental fields aligning with you in a column. Now become aware of a very bright golden light, 1 meter above the top of your head. This is your stellar gateway chakra. Looks like a golden chalice. There's a hint of bright golden orange energy within here, and this is the chakra that is connected to the higher cosmos that brings all of the light in for you at this time. So all of the light that comes in from the spiritual suns, from the universe, from the souls that you are connected to, comes in through your stellar gateway. Just become aware of that chakra, and as you do so, sense and see and feel it opening like a chalice. And as you do this, at this moment in time, you are receiving an abundance of light from the cosmos, and this is pouring down into you now. And moving further down now, from the stellar gateway chakra, become aware of a magenta and blue light, which is about 18 inches above the top of your head. This is your soul star chakra. If you haven't been aware of this chakra before, just tune into it now. And with your intention, sense and see and feel it lighting up and opening. The soul star contains your spiritual gifts and talents, all of the previous past life incarnations that you've had in this realm, in higher realms, in other universes and other times. You've stored everything that you've learned at a higher frequency within your soul star, and it is yours. It is your spiritual heritage. It will be coming through to you in this incarnation. Open the doorway and begin to allow and give permission for these gifts to be returned to you. So joining the light that is coming from the stellar gateway, sense and feel the light of the soul star opening up. Then moving your attention down to another chakra which resides just above the top of your crown, which looks like your own personal moon. This is the causal chakra. And the causal chakra is a portal for divine feminine energy that is activated recently. And it is also your access to the higher realms, the pure white beings of light that are connected to you and assisting you on your ascension pathway. So just sense and feel your causal chakra opening like the moon and just pouring pure white light into your bodies and your fields. Then just be aware of the first of the physical chakras. On the top of your head, you have your crown, which is a beautiful crystalline yellow color. You might want to, at this point in time, place one of your hands upon your crown just lightly and ask it to fully open and activate, gifting you with your own master wisdom. This is your fortification, your own guidance for your ascension pathway. You are your ultimate guide. You are your own guru. Feel your crown opening in response to your attention and your intention at this point in time. And then from your crown, feel yourself, bring your attention to your third eye, which is a beautiful crystal ball within your head. This crystal ball is pure and clear, but with a hint of beautiful green light. Is the crystal ball clear and clean and precise? Or could it be a little bit misty or foggy? Just allow the light that is coming down from your stellar gateway to clear all imperfections within the third eye. Just feel it opening up. Give your third eye permission to see at the highest frequency. Allow it to reveal aspects of this pathway to you that may not have been shown to you before. Give yourself permission to see with the eyes of mastery. Just feel your third eye opening now. Then gently move your attention down from the third eye to your throat, which is a beautiful royal blue. As you breathe in, one more time, breathe in through your nose. And out through your mouth, start to see and feel light from your throat chakra shining very brightly. You may have felt restricted with the things that you can say to others with your spiritual speech, speaking as your true self. That time is now over. Just give your throat permission to remove all restrictions and constrictions that may have been yours to carry as a burden during this lifetime. But know that the voice, the word of spirit, carries so much power. And dedicate the throat chakra to speaking only words of love infused with the wisdom of the heart. Feel your throat chakra lighting up very brightly now. Now just continuing to breathe and continuing to relax, move yourself into your heart center. Now your heart center is the core of your ascension process. This is where it all begins to step up into a higher frequency, into a new dimensional space. Take a deep breath in. And as you breathe out, feel the light of your heart exploding like a beautiful white ball of light within the center of your chest. And this white ball of light is infused with gorgeous pink and gold and maybe just a hint of very bright emerald green energy. Ask your heart now to step into the role of leadership in your ascension process. Give your heart permission to be in charge of the guidance of yourself on a daily basis. In order to be heart-based beings, we lead from the heart. Put your heart in charge. Activate it now. Take a deep breath in. And as you breathe out, just bathe for a moment in the unconditional love that is flowing from the center of your fifth dimensional heart chakra. Allow this to hold and cocoon you for a few moments. Feel any walls that you may have built up just dropping away. Any barriers to sending or receiving love, just alchemizing and disintegrating. And just within the center, holding the beautifulest and brightest candle of love for yourself. Take another deep breath in and breathe out, and just feel the power and the love and the security and the grounded strength within your heart center. And just move your attention down from your heart to the golden disc of your solar plexus. Within your solar plexus may be a mixture of energies that belong to you or energies that may belong to other people. Just ask your heart light now to activate the solar plexus so that it only looks for the vibration of love around you. And just feel anything that is not love just falling away. Breathe and relax as all of the light that you send out and all of the light that you receive is based now at the highest frequency. You are free of fear, both belonging to you and to other souls. Moving down from your solar plexus to a chakra that is exactly where your navel is. And this is the navel chakra. It's bright orange and looks like your own personal sun. Breathe into this area now. Take a deep breath in, breathe into your navel. You might even want to place your hands upon this area at this time. And just be aware that this is the ancient chakra of oneness, Atlantean chakra of oneness that is activated again to bring us all into a state of unity. From here, you are interconnected to every single living, conscious, sentient soul on the face of this planet and beyond into many higher spaces. Breathe and relax. Moving from the navel to your sacral, just below it, which is a soft, radiant pink. The orange of the previous dimensional space has disappeared. The pink represents transcendent love, which will exist in all of your interactions and your relationships at a fifth dimensional frequency. To sense and feel your sacral lighting up, and in an alignment with your heart, sending out the beacon to draw the right and most supportive relationships to you for the next phase of your pathway. The sacral has done so much healing and so much balancing and clearing for the divine feminine. And it is now also resetting at a higher frequency for the divine masculine. Allow yourself to love and be loved. And moving your attention from your sacral to your base chakra, which is a bright platinum color. Gone is the red of the third dimension. Platinum represents the angelic qualities of mastery and the vibration of your highest self. As you tune into your base chakra, feel yourself now grounding in the highest version of you that is available at this time. You might even want to say these words out loud with power and intention. I am my highest self. I am my highest self. I am my highest self. And feel that version of you drawing in down your antakarana bridge through your chakras and embodying into you physically, mentally, emotionally, and spiritually. Just continue to breathe and relax. Now let your attention and your intention just gently flow down your legs to the soles of your feet. Below your feet resides your Earth Star chakra, which is a beautiful silver or hematite grey. With both your feet on the floor now, just activate the Earth Star chakra and ground all of these energies in. Your beautiful silver roots flowing down from the Earth Star into the planet, grounding your highest frequency version of you, and ask it to hold this for you at all times. Your Earth Star chakra not only grounds you, but it sets and aligns the frequency which is the most perfect for you. To retain your highest state and vibration every day on planet Earth. Ground that in now. And then when you are ready, just come back to where you are and open your eyes.
Wow, that was amazing, Tim.
Thank you, Georgie. A little introduction for the 12 chakras for those that aren't aware of it, aren't aware that we're working with that, and there's even more than 12 now, but sometimes I find it's better to just kind of introduce the concept of the 12 before working with the other ones, if you see what I mean. So
yeah, that was wonderful because you brought some new things in there that some of us haven't heard before, which is great. Thank you so much.
My pleasure.
So I think we are at the end of our lovely interview, and thank you so much for doing what you've done.
It's been an absolute pleasure talking to you this morning. It really has, and thank you for creating this opportunity and for the energy that you're doing with as well, Georgie. It's been lovely.
Oh, thank you, Tim. So everybody, you know where to find Tim, www.timwild.com, and Tim Wild's Practical Ascension page on Facebook for twice weekly updates, just to keep us all supported.
Yeah, Tim in the woods.
All right. Thanks very much, Tim.
Thank you, Georgie. Lots of love to you all.
Lots of love. Take care, everybody.
Bye.
Thanks for joining us.